Okay, we are going to call this meeting to order. This is the joint meeting of the Community Facilities District, City of Buckeye, Arizona, for the districts listed and for June 17, 2025. Can we have the roll call, please?
Board Member Yonker is absent. Board Member Berry?
Here.
Board Member Goodman?
Present.
Board Member Hagestad is absent. Board Member Beard?
Here.
Vice Chair Hustis?
Here.
Chairman Osborne.
Present. Thank you very much. Item number 2 is Community Facilities District's action items. 2A is Board of Directors of the Floreo at Teravalis, formerly known as Trillium Community Facilities District. The district to hold a public hearing on the feasibility report relating to the acquisition and financing of certain improvements benefiting the district and issuance of the district's Assessment District 1 Special Assessment Revenue Bonds, Series 2025, in an amount not to exceed $10,970,000. Presenting, we have Mr. Larry Price.
Just FYI, before we get into the presentations, December 2018 was the last time a special assessment district was presented to the board to be formed. So it's been a few years, and this year, this fiscal year, 25-26, there's actually 3 districts that's approaching the board to form special assessment districts. Tonight, we're going to be talking about 2 of them. The first one is Floreo at Teravalis, then West Park, their second one, and in the fall will be Festival Ranch. Festival Ranch is be asking to form their 15th. Sundance had formed 3. West Park has formed 1 before. Watson Road, it doesn't have any geo-bonding authority. The entire district is a special assessment district. It has been a few years since y'all faced one of these, so I thought I would give you a little. The first one is Floreo at Teravalis. The special assessment districts are specific lots inside the confines of the CFD. Public infrastructure has been placed in the ground by the developer that uniquely benefits those specific lots. Those lots will be stressed to repay the annual principal and interest payments on the special assessment bonds that are sold to partially reimburse the developer for the infrastructure. The principal and interest payments are collected. It's not an ad valorem tax. It's a payment collected with the property tax bill by the county with the other property taxes. And the whole purpose of this is it's a development tool for the city to put basic infrastructure in the ground to develop according to the general plan. As I said before, the county collects the annual payments with the property tax bill. Floreo is estimated that the 1,097 lots will have a $10,000 special assessment lien upon them. These special assessment liens can be paid at any time, depending on what property owner desires to do. They're assumable. They are not required to be paid off when the property transfers. Generally, they're 20-year bonds, and it's estimated that this particular market will be a 6% interest rate on. The notification requirements in the statute requires the initial homeowner to be notified in writing and requires them to sign off in writing that they understand they're in a special assessment district, they're in a community facilities district, and there are additional fees and taxes in addition to all the other property taxes on the property within Maricopa County. There is no requirement that requires a homeowner. I bought the home and I'm selling it to you. There's no requirement that requires the homeowner to notify the home buyer that they're in the district. However, there is a lien on the property, and as you go through the transfer processes, the lien shows up on the title report, or so the new property owner more than likely will be made aware of they're in a special assessment district and they can pay it off or leave it on. We get calls every day from new homeowners wanting to pay it off or wanting to know what it is. Lenders will call us wanting to know what it is. So there's communication out there. There's just no legal requirement for me to tell you I'm selling you a property that's in this special district. And at Florio, there's water, sanitary improvements, paving, concrete improvements, storm drain, box culverts that are going into the property that's benefiting these 1,097 properties. There are representatives here from the developer, Garrett Corporation, if the council had any specific, or if the board had any specific questions about the project itself. We have the finance folks and the bonding folks here. If you had any questions about the financing or the bonding. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Larry. Just to clarify, this one, though, is for Florio at Teravalis, so it's not a Garrett. I see a representative walking in right now for potentially this property. It's not Garrett Development that's doing this one. They're West Park later in the agenda.
That's next. With
Okay.
Special Assessment District number 2.
And the special districts, I know we've been asked some questions about that. That is not required to be disclosed if I'm selling you my property. But like you said, that comes up in the title reports, and generally when you're going through the closing, you're signing off that you understand that you're in that special district, and you're also signing off for things that are probably similar, like West Mech or other school districts at the same time. So it works essentially the same way that those do.
The special assessment districts collected, the annual payments collected by the county show up as a line item on your detailed property tax statement. So it shows up there also.
Okay. Board, on agenda item 2A, are there any questions on this one? I'm not seeing any. First, we have to hold a public hearing, so we'll open a public hearing. Is there any speaker request cards?
There are no speaker request cards.
Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this specific item 2A? I'm seeing none. We will close the public hearing. And board, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 2A as an atom.
I'll second.
I have a motion for approval for agenda item 2A and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And 2A passes unanimous. Okay, item 2B, Board of Directors of the West Park Community Facilities District, the district, to hold a public hearing on the feasibility report related to the acquisition and financing of certain improvements benefiting the district and the issuance of District's Assessment District 2 Special Assessment Revenue Bonds Series 2025 in an amount not to exceed $1,561,000. And this will be presented also by Mr. Larry Price, Special Districts Manager. All right.
And this is another special assessment district. The rules are the same for West Park as they are for Florio at Teravalis. This West Park, they have $3,500 lien on the lots for the public infrastructure that has been put in the ground. They're requesting, the developer, Garrett Corporation, is requesting that they be reimbursed partially for part of the cost of putting this in the ground. And the water, sewer, streets, the improvements, everything is the same for both of these districts or all of our districts except the amount of money. This one is $3,500 instead of $10,000. So the annual payments are a little bit less, but they're still collected by the county, still have the same rights, still the same notifications. It's 1.5 million. They're requesting their 20-year bonds not to exceed 6%, or market does. 446 lots. Bond proceeds will partially reimburse the developer for curbing. Money collects it on the property tax billing. can be paid off at any time. It's up to the homeowner. Off or leave it on to maturity. In the notification requirements, the initial property owner is notified in writing. They're required to sign off on it. But the second buyer, when I sell to you, I don't have to notify you. You just have to discover it as you go through the processes. This shows some of the improvements that come in for the reimbursement. And folks are here from the Garrett Corporation.
Okay, thank you, Larry. We'll start with the public hearing, and we'll open a public hearing, item 2B. Do we have any speaker request cards?
There are no speaker request cards.
None? Okay, anybody from the public wishing to speak on item 2B? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. And board, any questions on item 2B? Seeing none. Board, what's your pleasure on item 2B?
Chairman, I make a motion, we approve item 2B as in boy.
Second.
I have a motion for approval and a second for item 2B. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And opposed? And 2B passes unanimous.
Pardon me, Mr. Chairman, just want to let you know that Councilmember Yunker or Board Member Yunker was able to join, so he is on the call, so just want to let you know.
All right, well, we won't open back up 2B, but we'll include them on 2C. And
Mr. Mayor, I jumped into the Teams meeting right as Larry was beginning, so I voted on the first one as well.
okay, we'll note that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 2C, Board of Directors of the West Park Community Facilities District, the district, to hold a public hearing and take action on resolution number 12-25, accepting and approving the feasibility report relating to the acquisition and financing of certain improvements benefiting the district and declaring its preliminary intention to issue not to exceed $5,400,000 principal amount of general obligation bonds to finance the acquisition of certain improvements as described in the feasibility report relating to such improvements pursuant to the provisions of Title 4.8, Chapter 4, Article 6, Arizona Revised Statutes, and all amendments thereto. And you're not Larry Price.
I'm not.
Bill Coppy is going to take us through this.
Yes, I am. Chairman, Vice Chairman, board members. So before we open up the public hearing for comments or questions regarding the feasibility report for the West Park Geo bonds, I have a few comments, and hopefully I'll answer some questions at the very end. We are doing the process for the geo bonds a little bit different than we did in the past. In the past, we've always had the feasibility or the public hearing on the feasibility report, but all of the action items were on consent. Going forward, anything with the geo bond related, we will be making formal presentations in front of the board because in the geo bonds, basically, there are existing residents that live in each of the districts, so we want to make sure they're all aware, and the board members have had an opportunity to actually see what the infrastructure is being added and have comments directly answered from staff. So we're going to kind of go over a brief presentation, and then we'll open it up at the end for questions or comments. Oops. So just a little bit of an overview. So in the fiscal year 25-26 West Park CFD budget, we did include the geo bonds as part of the budget. Again, the main purpose behind the CFD budget is to set the upper limits of the expenditure limitation. Does not necessarily mean that we're going to go out and issue bonds. Those take separate actions as we are here tonight to proceed with that. So I just want to let you know it is incorporated into the budget. If the budget is approved, then at least we have the authorization that we can go out and reimburse the developer for the costs that are requested tonight. The bond amount is $5.4 million. We started actually at $8 million is when we started the process about 2.5 months ago. So we whittled it down with a lot of phone calls, discussions with a lot of attorneys and a few developers and underwriters and a big group of people. And we reached $5.4 million is where we ended up. They do have a 20-year term at the current interest rate of 5%. You know, we anticipate closing sometime in September, October. I'll look over at the bond underwriters and see if they give me any idea, but it'll be later in the fall that we'll be actually do a final close on this bond issue. Bond proceeds will actually fund the West Park Loop Road, which is approximately 6,700 linear feet. So just to give you some comparisons between current year and prior year, so for the upcoming fiscal year, the tax levy or tax rate just for the GO bonds is $3.35. Last year, it was $2.83. So it's a little over an 18% increase in just the amount necessary for the debt service. So then when you combine the two, so there's a 30 cents O&M fee that is added to the debt service component. So when you add the two together, we're going to have $3.65 compared to about $3.13. So it ends up being about a 16.4% increase. We always look on the city side, we always use a comparison about $176,000 median price for a home in the city. If you apply these rates to that, it's about a $91 increase over a year, from 1 year to the next. So that's the rate, or that's the amount of what the residents in that district will see their increase by if they have a home in $176,000, $177,000 range. So here's what is going to be reimbursed to the developers. Again, it goes through the formal process of being accepted by the city. It has to make sure it's publicly bid. All those requirements are necessary, and then once those are fulfilled, bonds will be issued, and then developers will be reimbursed for the cost of infrastructure that they have put into the development. And then the last item is basically the community outreach. This is something else new that we did this year too. We worked with the developers, the staff worked really hard. I want to thank all of the staff members that helped in this process. So we conducted this outreach. I don't know if Mayor, Chairman, I don't know if someone from Wyatt or someone want to talk about what kind of response they had and how it turned out, if that's okay with you.
Yes, please.
Pick on Wyatt, I guess. Right there.
Mayor, Council, we sent individual letters, mailed letters to each one of the residents in West Park, the Phase 1, and all residents in the community. And then your staff was gracious enough to help us with some marketing material and put it out. And I believe we did that on Open Door and a couple other open web platforms so that we could get notifications out. We only received contact from one person, and they were just simply asking when the meeting was. We've responded to that, and I've reached out to them to answer any questions.
Thank you.
So with that, Mayor, I'll answer, Chairman, answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Copy. Before we go to board questions, if any, we'll need to hold a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing. Any speaker request cards?
There are no speaker request cards.
Okay, anybody from the public wishing to speak on this item 2C? I'm seeing none. We will close the public hearing. And board, any questions on item 2C? Seeing no questions, so board, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 2C as in Charles.
I'll second.
I have a motion for approval and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Passes unanimous. And Councilmember Yonker, we got you on this one.
Copy. Thank you.
Item 2D, Board of Directors of the West Park Community Facilities District, the district to take action on resolution number 08-25, authorizing issuance, sale, and delivery of its general obligation bond series 2025 delegating the authority to approve certain matters with respect to the bonds, including determining the method of sale of the bonds, authorizing the acceptance of the proposal for the purchase of the bonds, and awarding the bonds to the purchaser thereof, providing for the annual levy of tax for the payment of bonds, authorizing the appointment of a financial advisor and a bond registrar, transfer agent and paying agent if necessary, providing for the disposition of the proceeds of such bonds, approving the form of the bonds and certain documents related to, and securing the payment of the bonds, and authorizing completion, execution, and delivery thereof, delegating the authority to approve and deem final a form of preliminary official statement, if applicable, and ratifying all actions taken or to be taken to further this resolution. And it says Larry Price, but it's you again, Bill.
That's going to stay up here.
Okay.
Can you tell an attorney wrote that motion?
That was wordy. Yeah, I think that was to give you,
Missed the whereas, the word.
to give you time to get your presentation up.
Well, on this one, I don't. So this one, basically, with approving the previous action item, basically what this does is gives us the authority to proceed. We'll work with the underwriters, we'll work with the staff, and bond counsels, and then we'll just proceed with the issuance of the bond. So this is just giving us the authority to proceed when necessary to go out and issue the bonds.
Okay.
That's all this action does.
Okay, and this one, I think in all of that does not require a public hearing, correct? Okay. All right, so board item 2D, what is your pleasure? All right, do you have any questions? Any questions from board? All right, board, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve item 2D as in David.
I'll second.
So I have a motion for approval of 2D and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed? And 2D passes unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, item 3, consent agenda items and new business. Approval of items on the consent agenda. All items with an asterisk on the consent agenda are considered to be routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and vote of the Board of Directors. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member requests. This section may include the approval of minutes from previous meetings. So, board, on the consent agenda, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve consent agenda items 3A as in Adam through 3Q as in Queen.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda items. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimous. All right, board, we're cooking. That is all we have on the agenda. So item number 4 is adjournment. With nothing else, we are adjourned.